Our world is in constant silent motion. Beneath our feet, colossal tectonic plates drift, building mountains and carving oceans. Continents are travelers in a grand geological dance shaping land and sea. This is plate tectonics, the heartbeat of our planet, a force that endlessly creates and reshapes the Earth. Plate boundaries are the seams of our planet's crust, where continents are torn apart and forged anew. Most lie hidden beneath the oceans, forming vast mountain ranges and deep trenches. Here, magma creates new land, earthquakes shake the Earth, and volcanoes erupt, shaping our world in dramatic, unseen ways. There is one remarkable place on Earth where this hidden world rises from the depths and reveals itself. It is a land of fire and ice, a place where the raw power of the planet is on full display. This place is Iceland. Situated in the North Atlantic, the island sits directly astride the mid-Atlantic ridge. Here, the Great Submarine Mountain Range breaches the surface of the ocean, exposing the divergent boundary between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. Iceland is, quite literally, a nation divided. It is a land being torn in two by the same forces that are widening the Atlantic Ocean. The western part of Iceland is firmly on the North American plate, drifting slowly westwards. The eastern part belongs to the Eurasian plate, moving inexorably to the east. The line that divides them is not an imaginary demarcation on a map. It is a tangible physical reality. It is a zone of fractures, fissures, and volcanoes that slices right through the heart of the country. This rift valley is a living laboratory. It allows us to walk upon the seafloor, in a sense, and witness the processes of continental drift firsthand. It is the only place on the planet where you can stand on the boundary between two continents on dry land. This unique geological setting makes Iceland one of the most volcanically active places on Earth. The separation of the plates creates a weakness in the Earth's crust, allowing magma to rise easily to the surface. But Iceland's volatility is amplified by another factor. It also sits above a mantle plume, a hot spot of exceptionally hot rock rising from deep within the Earth. This combination of a rift valley and a hotspot is what makes Iceland so dynamic. The island is not just being stretched apart, it is being actively built up from below by a relentless supply of volcanic material. This dual engine of creation is what raised Iceland from the ocean floor in the first place. This is why Iceland offers such a profound window into the workings of our planet. In a place called Thingvellir National Park, the rifting is spectacularly visible. Great fissures, like deep wounds in the earth, scar the landscape. You can descend into the Almannagjá Gorge, with a towering rock wall of the North American plate on one side, and the plains of the Rift Valley stretching out towards the Eurasian plate on the other. Here, the story of plate tectonics is not an abstract theory found in textbooks. It is a landscape you can touch, a chasm you can walk into. It is the story of our planet, laid bare for all to see. For centuries, continents seemed fixed and unchanging. But in the early 1900s, Alfred Wegener noticed South America and Africa fit together like puzzle pieces. He proposed the continents once formed a supercontinent, Pangaea. Though doubted at first, his idea became the foundation of plate tectonics. The Earth's outer shell is broken into giant, rigid slabs called tectonic plates. These plates, made of crust and upper mantle, move slowly atop the asthenosphere, colliding and pulling apart. Their boundaries are where earthquakes, volcanoes, and mountains form, shaping our dynamic planet. Plate tectonics explains Earth's ever-changing surface. The question that stumped Alfred Wegener, what force moves the continents, was finally answered by understanding what happens deep within the Earth's mantle. The engine driving the movement of the tectonic plates is a process known as convection. The Earth's core is incredibly hot, with temperatures reaching over 5,000 degrees Celsius, almost as hot as the surface of the sun. This immense heat radiates outwards, warming the rock of the lower mantle. As this rock heats up, it expands, becomes less dense, and slowly begins to rise towards the surface. This is the first step in a planetary-scale circulatory system that operates over hundreds of millions of years. As the hot mantle rock rises and approaches the cooler lithosphere, it begins to spread out sideways. This lateral movement exerts a dragging force on the bottom of the tectonic plates, pulling them along. This process is often called ridge push. As the rising magma reaches a mid-ocean ridge, it cools and solidifies, forming new oceanic crust. This new elevated crust effectively pushes the older crust away from the ridge on either side. This is one of the key forces that causes plates to diverge or pull apart. It is a creative process, constantly generating new planetary surface at these spreading centers. After spreading out, the mantle material begins to cool down. As it cools, it becomes denser and starts to sink back down towards the core. This sinking motion occurs at subduction zones, where one tectonic plate is forced to slide beneath another. The immense weight of the cold, dense, sinking slab of the lithosphere pulls the rest of the plate along with it. This force, known as slab pull, is now considered by many geologists to be the primary driving force of plate tectonics. It is a powerful gravitational pull, like a heavy anchor chain sinking into the depths and dragging the ship behind it. This continuous cycle of rising hot rock and sinking cool rock creates massive convection cells within the mantle. These cells act like enormous, slow-moving conveyor belts, carrying the tectonic plates on their backs. The entire system is a magnificent heat engine, converting the thermal energy from the Earth's interior into the mechanical energy that moves continents, builds mountains, and opens oceans. It is this hidden subterranean engine that keeps our planet geologically alive and dynamic. It is the ultimate source of the power that shapes the world we see on the surface, a force operating on a scale that is almost beyond our ability to comprehend. Tectonic plates meet at three main boundaries: divergent, convergent, and transform. Divergent boundaries create new crust, convergent boundaries destroy it, and transform boundaries slide past each other, causing earthquakes. These dynamic interactions shape our planet, mostly hidden beneath the oceans, but revealed in dramatic events like earthquakes, volcanoes, and mountain formation. While most of the Earth's tectonic machinery operates in the unseen depths of the oceans, Iceland stands as the grand exception. This extraordinary island nation is the largest portion of the mid-Atlantic ridge exposed above sea level. It is a place where the processes of a divergent plate boundary, normally hidden beneath thousands of meters of water, can be witnessed on dry land. Here, the theory of plate tectonics is not an abstract concept illustrated by diagrams in a textbook. It is a tangible, observable reality. Iceland offers a unique, real-world laboratory where we can walk directly upon a spreading center and see the Earth being created. The island is bisected by the rift that marks the boundary between the North American and Eurasian plates. The western half of Iceland is moving westwards with the North American plate, while the eastern half is moving eastwards with the Eurasian plate. The country is widening at a rate of about 2 centimeters per year. This constant stretching creates a zone of weakness through the center of the island, a broad rift valley punctuated by countless fissures, faults, and volcanoes. This is not a single neat crack, but a wide and complex zone of fracturing, where the crust is being pulled apart like taffy. This geological setting makes Iceland one of the most volcanically dynamic places on the planet. The separation of the plates allows magma to ascend to the surface with relative ease. This activity is further amplified because Iceland also sits atop a mantle plume, or what we call a hotspot, a column of exceptionally hot rock rising from deep within the Earth's mantle. This combination of a spreading ridge and a hotspot creates a phenomenal amount of volcanic activity. It is this relentless volcanism that has built Iceland up from the ocean floor over the last 16 to 20 million years, allowing it to defy the ocean and rise above the waves. For geologists, Iceland is a priceless natural classroom. It allows them to study the processes of rifting, magma generation, and crustal formation in unparalleled detail. For the rest of us, it offers something even more profound, a direct physical connection to the deep forces that shape our world. To stand in the Rift Valley at Thingvellir is to stand between two continents in a landscape that is actively being torn asunder. It is a humbling and awe-inspiring experience, a reminder that the solid ground we take for granted is part of a restless, ever-changing planet. In Iceland, the hidden story of plate tectonics is written across the land for all to see. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean lies the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the world's longest mountain range, stretching 16,000 kilometers from the Arctic to the Southern Ocean. Hidden under kilometers of water, this underwater chain is where tectonic plates pull apart, creating new ocean floor. Only in Iceland does the ridge rise above the waves, letting us walk on the crest of this colossal range. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is a planetary construction zone where new Earth is constantly being created. Deep in the mantle, hot rock rises, melts, and erupts as lava, building the ridge layer by layer. This relentless process forms new oceanic crust, driving continental drift and making the ridge Earth's great creative seam. How did Iceland, a substantial landmass, emerge from what is otherwise a completely submerged mountain range? Well, the answer lies in a powerful geological anomaly, the Iceland plume. Beneath the island lies a stationary hotspot, a column of exceptionally hot material rising from deep within the Earth's mantle. This mantle plume provides a far greater and more persistent supply of magma than is found along a typical section of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The ridge itself provides the weakness in the crust, the rift for the magma to exploit. The plume provides the sheer volume of magma needed to build a volcanic edifice that is vast enough to break the ocean's surface. This powerful combination of a spreading ridge and a mantle plume is what makes Iceland so geologically unique and honestly hyperactive. The plume has been feeding the ridge in this location for an estimated 16 to 20 million years. Over this immense timescale, countless volcanic eruptions have piled lava flow upon lava flow, slowly building a massive volcanic plateau on the seafloor. Eventually, this plateau grew so large that its highest peaks emerged from the waves, forming the island of Iceland. The island is, in essence, the visible tip of a colossal volcanic construction that rises more than 3 kilometers from the surrounding ocean floor. The influence of the hotspot means that the Earth's crust beneath Iceland is significantly thicker than typical oceanic crust. While normal oceanic crust is about 7 kilometers thick, the crust under central Iceland can be up to 40 kilometers thick. This thicker, more buoyant crust helps the island to stand high above sea level. The hotspot is also the reason why Iceland is so much wider than a normal section of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The plume's influence extends for hundreds of kilometers, creating a broad zone of volcanism and uplift, rather than a narrow line of activity. This dual geological identity defines every aspect of Iceland's landscape and character. It is a land born of fire, constantly being reshaped by the forces of creation. The rifting process continues to pull the island apart, while the plume continues to pump magma to the surface, filling in the gaps and adding new land. This dynamic equilibrium between tearing apart and building up is what sustains the island. Without the ridge, there would be no weakness for the magma to exploit. Without the plume, there would not be enough volcanic material to keep the island above the waves. Iceland exists in this perfect violent balance. When the Mid-Atlantic Ridge emerges in Iceland, it forms a dramatic rift zone. Here, the land is pulled apart by the North American and Eurasian plates, creating vast fissures and grabens. Thingvellir National Park showcases this process, with visible cracks and dramatic cliffs. Beneath, magma rises through fractures, fueling eruptions and shaping Iceland's ever-changing landscape. Because the processes of seafloor spreading are exposed on land, Iceland provides scientists with an unparalleled natural laboratory. Geologists, volcanologists, and seismologists from around the world flock to the island to study phenomena that are otherwise hidden in the abyssal depths of the ocean. They can install GPS stations to measure the infinitesimally slow drift of the continents in real time. They can place seismometers directly alongside active faults to listen to the heartbeat of the Earth. They can sample fresh lava from an eruption to understand the chemistry of the mantle deep below. In Iceland, the machinery of the planet is accessible. This accessibility allows for a level of detailed monitoring that is impossible on the submerged parts of the ridge. When a volcanic eruption is imminent, scientists can detect the subtle swelling of the ground as magma accumulates below. They can monitor the swarms of small earthquakes that signal magma on the move. This data not only helps to forecast eruptions and mitigate their hazards for the local population, but also provides profound insights into the fundamental processes of how volcanoes work. Each eruption, from the disruptive 2010 eruption of Eyjafjallajökull to the recent events near Grindavik, is a new experiment, offering a wealth of data to be collected and analyzed. Furthermore, Iceland serves as a unique analog for studying other planets. The volcanic landscapes, basaltic plains, and fissure systems found in Iceland bear a striking resemblance to features seen on Mars and the Moon. Studying how these features form in Iceland's active tectonic environment helps planetary scientists understand the geological history of other worlds. When NASA astronauts prepared for the Apollo missions, they came to the barren volcanic highlands of Iceland to train, learning to identify volcanic rocks in a landscape that looked and felt truly otherworldly. The island is a bridge not only between continents, but also between Earth and the cosmos. Ultimately, Iceland's exposure of the mid-Atlantic ridge transforms abstract geological theory into a direct human experience. It is one thing to read about seafloor spreading in a book. It is another entirely to stand in a fissure that is widening year by year. This living laboratory reminds us that geology is not just about a static, ancient past. It is a dynamic, ongoing process that is shaping our world right now. The island of Iceland is a testament to the immense power of the Earth's internal engine, a place where the veil is lifted and we are granted a rare and spectacular glimpse of our planet in the very act of creation. Thingvellir, or Parliament Plains, is where Iceland's first parliament, the Althing, was founded in 930. Chieftains gathered here, surrounded by dramatic cliffs and rift valleys, to shape a nation's destiny. Today, Thingvellir is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a symbol of Icelandic independence, where the forces of nature and history meet in a landscape both sacred and awe-inspiring. The Almannagjá Gorge is the dramatic edge of a continent, where the North American and Eurasian plates pull apart, creating a spectacular chasm. Walking here, you leave one continent behind and enter the rift itself, surrounded by towering cliffs and ancient volcanic rock. This is truly a no man's land between worlds, a place where geology comes alive and history echoes beneath your feet. As you move east from Almannagjá Gorge, the landscape transforms into a web of cracks and fissures. This is the heart of the rift zone, where the Earth's crust is being pulled apart. The ground is fractured, filled with clear, cold water from distant glaciers, and the fissures widen every year, a living reminder of Iceland's restless geology. The rocks of Thingvellir are the silent storytellers of Iceland's past. Basalt, shaped by fire and ice, forms the land. Its textures reveal gentle and violent eruptions and the clash of volcanoes and glaciers. Every stone is a clue, a piece of the planet's autobiography, shaped by pressure, time, and the forces beneath our feet. In Thingvellir, the stones speak, if you know how to listen. Silfra is a world-renowned fissure in Thingvellir, Iceland, where you can float between the North American and Eurasian plates in water so clear it feels like flying. Protected by a dry suit, you drift in impossible blues and greens, touching both continents at once. Silfra is the ultimate experience of swimming between worlds. Thingvellir is a living window into Earth's past, present, and future. Here, you walk on ground shaped by ancient volcanic forces, witness the rift widening today, and glimpse the birth of a future ocean. To walk between these plates is to experience the restless, creative power of our planet. Iceland is forged in the clash of fire and ice. Volcanoes erupt beneath glaciers, steam rises from frozen ground, and new land is born from molten rock. Here, the raw forces of nature shape a landscape of profound contrasts, where glaciers and lava fields meet, and life thrives amid elemental power. Iceland's landscape is a living record of volcanic history, with lava fields covering 11% of the country. Ancient moss-covered flows and sharp, fresh rock reveal the island's fiery origins. Shield volcanoes like Skjaldbreiður formed from fluid lava, while explosive eruptions like Hekla's spread ash across the land, shaping both soil and society. The sagas recount how settlers learned to live with these forces, farming volcanic soil and enduring ash falls. Today, scientists read this history in layers of ash trapped in glaciers, building a timeline of eruptions stretching back thousands of years. In Iceland, the past is never buried. It's written in every layer of the land. In 1783, the Lucky fissure erupted, unleashing lava and poisonous gases over Iceland for 8 months. The resulting haze poisoned pastures, killed livestock, and caused famine, claiming a quarter of the population. Sulfuric acid clouds spread across Europe, dimming the sun, cooling the climate, and triggering crop failures and unrest. Some historians link these hardships to the tensions that sparked the French Revolution. Laki's eruption showed how a single volcanic event can disrupt global climate and society. It's a stark reminder of our planet's interconnectedness and its power. Iceland's volcanic heat is both a hazard and a gift, powering geysers, hot springs, and the nation itself. In Haukadalur Valley, Strokkur erupts every few minutes, a dramatic display of geothermal energy. Over 90% of homes are heated by this clean resource, and even Reykjavik's pavements stay ice-free in winter. Geothermal power has transformed Iceland into a leader in renewable energy and innovation. The Blue Lagoon and thriving greenhouses are just a few benefits of harnessing the fire below. Here, the Earth's energy brings warmth, prosperity, and wonder. In 2010, Eyjafjallajökull erupted, sending ash clouds across Europe and grounding flights worldwide. The fine, glassy ash threatened jet engines, forcing authorities to close airspace and stranding millions. Though minor geologically, the eruption's global impact revealed our vulnerability to natural forces. It spurred new research into volcanic ash and air travel safety. Eyjafjallajökull's story is Iceland's in miniature fire and ice colliding, shaping the world far beyond its shores. Even today, Iceland's volcanoes command global attention. Thingvellir's fissures show the Earth's surface in motion, as the North American and Eurasian plates drift apart by 2 centimeters each year. This slow separation drives earthquakes and reshapes the landscape, recording the planet's restless energy. Over centuries, the rift will widen dramatically, reminding us that geography is never permanent. The Atlantic Ocean itself began as a rift like this and continues to grow. Standing at Thingvellir, you witness the future being forged, a preview of the world's ever-changing map. The silent widening of Iceland's rift is a glimpse of Earth's grand, ongoing transformation. The movement of tectonic plates follows the Wilson cycle, a rhythm of continents splitting, oceans opening, and mountains rising. Iceland sits atop a rift, a rare glimpse of ocean birth above sea level. As plates pull apart, new seafloor forms, oceans widen, and eventually old oceans shrink and disappear. The Himalayas are the result of continents colliding at the end of this cycle. The Wilson cycle is Earth's heartbeat, shaping continents and oceans over eons. And as one ocean closes, another begins, an endless planetary dance. In Iceland's Thingvellir Rift Valley, we witness the birth of new oceans, an ongoing process shaping our planet's future. The same forces at work here are tearing Africa apart in the East African Rift, and will one day split continents, create new seas, and redraw the world map. We are watching Earth remake itself. The Wilson cycle of opening and closing oceans implies an even grander pattern, the cyclical assembly and breakup of supercontinents. Over the past 2 billion years, the Earth's landmasses have repeatedly gathered together to form one giant continent, only to break apart again hundreds of millions of years later. The most recent of these was Pangaea, which existed around 300 million years ago, and whose breakup formed the Atlantic Ocean and the continents we know today. Before Pangaea, there was Rodinia, and before that, Columbia. Geologists are confident that this grand cycle will continue, and the continents will once again merge to form the next supercontinent. Based on the current trajectories of the tectonic plates, scientists can create fascinating models of what this future supercontinent might look like. One of the most prominent models predicts the formation of a supercontinent dubbed Pangaea Ultima or Pangaea Proxima. In this scenario, the Atlantic Ocean continues to widen for a time, but eventually, new subduction zones form along its eastern and western coasts. These subduction zones will begin to consume the Atlantic seafloor, reversing its expansion and causing it to shrink. The Americas and Afro-Eurasia will begin to move back towards each other, closing the ocean that once divided them. In approximately 250 million years' time, the Atlantic Ocean could close completely. North and South America will collide with the western side of a merged African, European, and Asian landmass. This colossal continental collision will create a new, gigantic mountain range running down the suture line where the Atlantic once was. Australia will have already merged with Asia to the north. The result will be a new supercontinent, Pangaea Ultima, a vast landmass surrounded by a single global superocean, a successor to today's shrinking Pacific. The interior of this new supercontinent would likely be an extreme environment, with vast arid deserts far from the moderating influence of the ocean. This vision of the deep future is a mind-bending concept, but it is a logical extension of the processes we can observe today. The journey from the present-day Earth to Pangaea Ultima is driven by the same forces that widen the Thingvellir Rift by 2 centimeters each year. The slow dance of the continents, which we can measure and map with precision, is leading towards this grand reunion. It is a humbling perspective, reminding us that the entire history of humanity has played out during a brief, transitional phase in the Earth's much longer story of constant geological rearrangement. What will become of Iceland in this deep future of moving continents? Its fate is inextricably linked to the forces that created it, the mid-Atlantic ridge and the mantle plume. As the Atlantic Ocean continues to widen over the next few tens of millions of years, Iceland will continue to be stretched and built upon. The rift running through its center will grow, and the island will become wider. It is possible that the rifting could eventually become so pronounced that the sea breaks through, splitting Iceland into 2 separate islands, one on the North American plate and one on the Eurasian plate, with a new narrow seaway running between them. However, the Iceland mantle plume, the hotspot that provides the island's lifeblood, will not last forever. Mantle plumes are long-lived but finite features. In tens of millions of years, the plume may weaken or die out. Without this prodigious supply of magma to build it up, the island will succumb to the relentless forces of erosion. Glaciers, rivers, and the pounding waves of the Atlantic will begin to wear the island down. The constructive forces of volcanism will no longer be able to outpace the destructive forces of erosion. Slowly but surely, the island of Iceland would be worn away, eventually disappearing back beneath the waves from whence it came. Looking even further ahead, towards the formation of Pangaea Ultima, the mid-Atlantic ridge itself will cease to be a spreading center and will become a subduction zone. The oceanic crust that was once born at the ridge will be consumed back into the mantle. the geological scar of the ridge, including the remnants of the Icelandic plateau on the ocean floor, will be caught up in the colossal collision between the Americas and Afro-Eurasia. The rocks that once formed the island of fire and ice will be compressed, metamorphosed, and thrust upwards to become part of the new supercontinent's central mountain range, their volcanic origins barely recognizable. This long-term perspective, stretching across hundreds of millions of years, is the ultimate lesson of Thingvellir. It shows us that nothing on Earth is permanent, not even the continents themselves, and certainly not a volcanic island like Iceland. The island is a temporary feature, a magnificent but fleeting expression of the planet's inner turmoil. To walk the rift in Iceland is to walk on land that is simultaneously being born and carrying the seeds of its own eventual destruction. It is a profound meditation on the immense, cyclical, and ceaseless nature of geological time and our own brief moment within it. To stand in the Great Rift Valley of Thingvellir is to experience a profound sense of connection. It is a connection not just to a place, but to a process. Here, the story of our planet is not confined to the pages of a book or the diagrams of a lecture. It is written into the very land itself. It is carved into the dark walls of the Almannagjá Gorge. It is reflected in the crystalline waters of the Silfra fissure. It is etched into every fractured stone and moss-covered lava flow. This is not a static landscape. It is a live performance of geology, a place where the immense, slow-moving machinery of the Earth is made visible and tangible to us all. A journey through Thingvellir is a walk through time. You are treading on ground that is a mere 10,000 years old, new land that has emerged since the retreat of the last great glaciers. You are witnessing the forces that have shaped our world for billions of years, the same forces that tore the supercontinent Pangaea apart and set the modern continents on their long, wandering journeys. The 2 centimeters of separation that occur here each year are a direct continuation of that ancient story. It is a slow but relentless movement, a planetary pulse that has beaten for eons and will continue to beat for eons to come. Here, the past, present, and future converge. The layered lava flows tell of a fiery past. The gentle tremors and widening cracks speak of a dynamic present. And the inexorable spreading of the valley floor offers a glimpse into a deep future, a future of shifting continents and new oceans. It is a place that recalibrates our own sense of time. It reminds us that our lives, and indeed the entire span of human history, have unfolded during a mere fleeting moment in the vast, unhurried saga of geological time. To feel this is to gain a new and humbling perspective on our place in the cosmos. This is the ultimate lesson of walking between the continents. It is more than a simple tourist activity or a geological curiosity. It is an opportunity to connect with the fundamental rhythm of our world. It dissolves the barrier between abstract scientific knowledge and direct personal experience. In Thingvellir, you are not just an observer of the Earth, you are a participant in its story. You are standing within the great creative seam of the planet, a privileged witness to the very act of the world remaking itself. It is an experience that stays with you, a memory of having touched the raw, living essence of the Earth. The story of Iceland's Rift Valley is the story of a living planet. It is a powerful antidote to the notion of the Earth as a passive ball of rock, an inert stage for the drama of life. The constant volcanic eruptions, the trembling of the ground, and the steady drift of the plates all speak of a world that is geologically alive. It has a hot, beating heart, its core, and a circulatory system of flowing mantle rock that drives the movement of its skin. This internal dynamism is what makes our planet unique in the solar system. It is the engine that recycles the crust, builds mountains, and regulates the climate over geological time. This planetary life force is usually hidden from us. Its most dramatic manifestations occur deep beneath the oceans or unfold on timescales far beyond our comprehension. But in Iceland, the veil is lifted. The island serves as a window into this hidden world. The geysers, the hot springs, and the steam vents are the breath of the planet made visible. The volcanic eruptions are its moments of feverish creation. The Rift Valley itself is the scar tissue of its constant growth. Iceland allows us to see, feel, and hear the processes that are fundamental to the Earth's existence as a dynamic and evolving system. Understanding this living planet is not just an academic pursuit. It is essential for our own survival and well-being. The same forces that create the magnificent landscapes of Iceland are also the source of natural hazards like earthquakes and volcanoes, which affect millions of people around the world. The study of Iceland's geology helps us to better understand these risks, to forecast their behavior, and to mitigate their impact. The geothermal energy that Iceland harnesses so effectively points the way towards a more sustainable future, a way of living in harmony with the planet's power, rather than against it. By studying Iceland, we learn about the interconnectedness of all Earth's systems. An eruption there can affect air travel in Europe. The melting of its glaciers can contribute to sea level rise across the globe. The health of our planet is a single, integrated story, and Iceland is one of its most eloquent chapters. It reminds us that we are not separate from the Earth's processes. We are an intimate part of them. We live on these moving plates, breathe the air that volcanoes can change, and depend on the stable climate that this geological activity ultimately helps to regulate. Our fate is tied to the fate of our living planet. For over 1,000 years, people have been drawn to the rift at Thingvellir. The first Icelandic settlers chose this dramatic spot for their national assembly, the Althing. They did not know they were standing on a plate boundary, but they could feel the power of the place. The towering rock walls and deep chasms created a natural amphitheater that lent authority and solemnity to their laws and judgments. They built their society in the embrace of this raw geology, forging a human story that is uniquely intertwined with the story of the Earth. This deep historical connection adds another layer of meaning to this extraordinary landscape. Today, people from all over the world make the pilgrimage to Thingvellir. They come to walk in the footsteps of the Viking chieftains and to marvel at the geological wonder. They snorkel in the pristine waters of Silfra, suspended between two continents. They stand in awe before the Almannagjá Gorge, touching the edge of the North American plate. In doing so, they are not just taking a photograph or ticking an item off a travel list. They are forging their own personal connection with the planet. They are experiencing a moment of wonder that can inspire a deeper curiosity and respect for the natural world. This connection is perhaps the most important legacy of Iceland's rift. In an age where many of us live in urban environments, increasingly disconnected from the natural systems that support us, places like Thingvellir are more vital than ever. They serve as powerful reminders of where we come from. They show us that the ground beneath our cities is not static, that the resources we depend on are finite, and that the planet we call home is a place of immense and sometimes unpredictable power. This is a lesson in humility and a call to stewardship. It encourages us to see the world not as a commodity, but as a living entity to be understood and protected. In the end, the divide between continents at Thingvellir does more than just separate two tectonic plates. It brings people together. It brings us closer to our planet's past and to its future. It connects us to the grand, unfolding story of our restless, ever-changing Earth. And in doing so, it reminds us of a simple but profound truth. We are all inhabitants of a single shared world, travelers together on these moving plates. The ground is never still, and in that constant motion, there is a story of creation, of change, and of life itself.